Welcome to Jasiri. It's Friday. The vibes are high. The takes are going to be hot. And you know what that means. It's time for Hot Topics Friday. It's the time where we unpack the stories that had everyone talking all week, the headlines, the hashtags, and the hidden angles that made us pause, laugh, or even, raise an eyebrow. It didn't work. From politics to pop culture, social justice to social media wahala, if it trended, we're talking about it. We also have a special guest joining us today, and I don't know how this is going to go, but I can promise you it's going to be a very interesting conversation. One that you don't want to miss because we, as always, are bringing the heat. But first,
joining us this morning on Jasiri is the co-founder of the African Ambassadors Economic Forum, Dr. Uche Odims. Let's talk about the forum that's coming up in July. Good to see you again, Dr. Uche. Let's get straight into it. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you today. Good to see the team.
Good morning.
All right, so tell us what inspired the creation of the African Ambassadors Economic Forum.
The creation of Ambassador Economic Forum is just simple because we noticed that there's a major need for us to address critical issues that affect Africa. And these critical issues are things that actually plague this continent. And if everybody keeps quiet, nobody's going to do anything. So we now said, let's now take the initiative to drive the agenda of the Africa we want. Now, driving the agenda is not just in talks, it's in action. So this particular organization, particular program, African Ambassadors Economic Forum, is more of the action, the actionable steps for us to actually put Africa in the positive map globally and all. I mean, Africa to take her place, her rightful place in the hands of affairs, in the table of men, practically. So that's what this particular whole project is all about. And we are looking at critical issues. When you talk about critical issues, one of the major problems of Africa is economy. So we are paying a lot of attention around that. That's why we call it African Ambassadors Economic Forum. We are bringing top leaders, influential people from around the globe, around Africa and beyond, from other continents that are captains in the area of economy. To
Dr. Uche, thank you very much for expanding what it is. And now that you have even, touched on the fact that you'll be bringing a lot of people to come and talk about critical issues, I want to just briefly ask that, what are some of the key topics that will be discussed during the forum, and what are these topics? Why are they crucial to foster sustainable trade and investment between Africa and the US particularly?
Okay, interesting. First of all, we're going to be looking at tech. Tech is very critical for us to drive the new Africa we want. We have some wonderful people that are going to be speaking in the area of tech and all. Then apart from that, we're also going to be looking at entertainment. Entertainment is big. Yeah, because the program, we actually crafted everything around the program to actually put spotlight on the strength of Africa. That's the truth, strength of Africa. So entertainment is major, and we have some very celebrities and some people that are going to be on the program and everything to come and talk about entertainment and all. Then we also have a lot of presentation on leadership. Leadership is core. It's one of the major problems that is plaguing Africa. Leadership, servant leadership. Yeah, not Lord. You notice that what happens mostly in Africa is that people want to be Lord and they don't want to serve. Leadership is all about serving the people and not lording over the people. In fact, that's a major issue in Africa. We're going to be paying a lot of attention around that. That people, leaders in Africa, should be servant leader and not Buga King. Not people that will come and lord over people and oppress the people and all. You are elected to serve the people and not to be their Lord. Their Lord is, if you're a Christian, Jesus is your Lord and God, not you. You are here to serve us. You are one of us. Don't come here to oppress us. So we're going to pay a lot of attention on leadership. Then we're also going to pay a lot of attention on unity in diversity. That's another problem. One major thing that affected Africa. We are not united. Everybody wants to do our own thing, do their own stuff. If you look very well, you have European Union, and they are very strong. They come together. to discuss issues that affect European countries and all. Asia, same thing too, and everything. Africa need to come together. Everybody wants to do their own thing. This country, that country, and the rest of it. By the time we all come together and all, the world is going to respect Africa. So we need unity. So we're going to have a lot of discourse around unity and all. And also, topical areas that we're going to be looking at. And we are also working very closely in actually diaspora to actually come back here, end of this year. We're going to be bringing a lot of people into the African countries. When we went for at the instance of the president of Liberia, we actually told them something in Liberia. That was a couple of weeks ago. We told them something that we should have a situation whereby anybody that finds out that he or she has about 50, 55% or 60% African blood, maybe from Liberia or Nigeria, or we should work at giving them citizenship and all, because we need the diaspora remittance to grow Africa. That's the truth. And a lot of Black Americans and all, you hear somebody that is from Asia, from India, you say, I'm an American, but I'm an Indian. I am from Germany, but I'm an American, but I'm from Germany. I'm from China, but I'm an American, but I'm from China. Same thing should happen with people that are Black Americans and all, and the blacks around. You should be able to say, I am an American, but I am from Nigeria. And where in Nigeria? I am from Osun State, from Imo State, from Jigawa, across board. We want them to have the right identity. So we're also driving this. And this is something that we know is going to really have to grow our continent. By the time we have those people that are making impact out there, come back home, it's going to be a major, major plus and a major boost to the economy of Africa and all. So these are some of the things that we're going to be really pushing. Yeah.
Interesting. One of the things we've noted is that the forum is also looking to align with the African Union's Agenda 2063. So, Dr. Dims, can you take us through that? How does the forum really align with the African Union's Agenda 2063, and what specific initiatives or outcomes are expected to emerge from this gathering that happens in July?
Okay, one of the major things, especially when it has to do with the African Union 2060 agenda, that is very critical right now, is trade. Trade, very important. I mean, that one is more important than any, in fact, more important, the other ones are important, but trade is very key and all. If you look at it very well in a place like Africa, the trade connectivity is ridiculous. Most times you want to fly, I don't know if any of you have tried to fly to African countries that are closed. Let me give you an example, a place like Liberia. By flight, Liberia is not supposed to take up to 2 hours to get to. Yeah, within 1 hour, 30 minutes thereabout. But what now happens? You now have to fly to another country. In fact, that's even the closest. You have to fly to another country, maybe fly to Ghana if you're using airpiece. From Ghana, you now fly to Sierra Leone. From Sierra Leone, you now fly to Liberia. At the end of the day, you spend like almost close to 4 hours something or 5 hours and all. These things improve trade in Africa. The connectivity is ridiculous. It's even difficult to even get a flight to go to Cameroon. You have to fly to another country, fly to another place, so you even think of coming over. No, that is terrible. So we need to have interconnectivity to make trade easy. We have to have connections by road, by air, these are things that impede the African continent. So we're going to be paying a lot of attention on that to work on things that impede. And of course, that aligns with the 2063 African Union agenda. We're going to pay a lot of attention on trade, because what can bring Africa out of poverty is trade and not aid. Aid has brought about poverty in our continent, and it's high time we stop the thinking. We stop the act of constant trade like beggars. Africa is not a beggarly continent. Africa is the Garden of Eden. Africa is blessed with rich and natural resources across board. In fact, we develop, most of the resources from Africa is not developed places like Europe and so many other continents and all. And we are not living as if we are beggars. That's why I love the fact that Donald Trump cut off the USAID stuff. The aid was perfect, because we need to grow up. We need to grow up.
Uche, if you can hear me, You have teased and basically given us a glimpse of what to look forward to at the event. You've mentioned that we'll be discussing a lot of things, including unity, and some of the most powerful conversations are meant to be had. And we know that there will be panel sessions and, keynote speeches. Can you tell us some of the people to look out for at these panels and some of the keynote speakers that we're to expect?
The mayor of New York, Eric Adams, he's going to be there. We have PLO Lumumba, one of the foremost voices driving the agenda of Africa, and PLO Lumumba will be there. We also have Erikana Showombre. I mean, that woman is something else. She's the foremost voice now when it has to do with Africa. She's been talking about Africa and what Africa is all about, what we should do as Africans for a very long time. She's going to be there live. We're also going to have Peter Braston from the European Union. We're also going to have at the program our own formidable leader. I'm talking about no other person than Mr. Akintemi. That's your CEO of New Center. He's going to be there live. Yeah. I mean, he's a man that loves Africa. New Central, you guys love Africa so much. I must commend you people for the great work that you guys are doing and all. And we also have the Minister of Women Affairs to Nigeria. She's going to be there, live and direct. And we also have, in fact, the speakership list is massive. We have all kinds of speakers that are coming. Of course, at this particular event, there's a lady, her name is Dr. Belisha. She owns a bank in the US and all. She's a Black American. And at this particular event, she is going to be, she has already earmarked that she's going to be bringing out, she has brought out $650 million to invest in real estate in Africa. Yes, to partner with real estate organizations in Africa. $650 million at this event. Wow. She's one of the speakers, Dr. Belisha. She's going to be there live and direct. So as many people are into real estate, you better start booking your flight ticket and start on the 18th.
Okay, Dr. Uche, Dr. Uche, if you can hear us. I mean, you've painted such a beautiful picture of this conference that's going to be happening there. So as we wrap up, can you tell us when the event is and where people can find out more information about it, and of course where they can buy their tickets?
Okay, very well. If you want to get more information about this conference, you should quickly go online and go to www.aaeforum.org. AAE Forum, like forum.org. Yeah, www.aaeforum.org. When you go there, you see everything all about the program. And you can also, the venue of the program is Westin Crystal Hotel, Pentagon, Washington, D.C., USA. It's just a few minutes away from the airport, Ronald Reagan Airport. And you can, for those of us that are within Nigeria, we have all kinds of numbers. You can reach out to the Nigerian number to find out, get some information at 08033167827. I repeat the number again, 08033167827. And in case you are outside of Nigeria or you want to chat the American line, you can actually reach out to +1 929 741 3804. The American number you can chat, only chat, +1 929 741 3804. And the date is on the 18th of July, just a few weeks from now. 18th and 19th of July. 18th is the main day. And that day we are going to be, there's a special award night to celebrate Africans and all. And we're also going to be having the panel section, the plenary sections and all. It's going to be something unique. Now, there's a major takeaway. At this event, we are launching a major pressure group called the Africa Lobby Bloc. That's a major takeaway. So this program is not one of those programs that will just hold and that is it. No. This program has a future. It's a continuum. In fact, after this particular program in America, we have the one that's coming up in Brazil. We have Africa Ambassadors Forum, Economic Forum in Brazil. From there, we're taking it to India. We're taking it around the continent. It's time for Africa. Let's negotiate on behalf of our continent. Let's negotiate positively and not positively. I mean, when we want to do business, let's do value-added trade. No more coming to pick up the mineral resources out of Africa, and when you refine it, maybe for instance like cocoa, take it out of Africa, refine it, at the end of the day, bring it back as chocolate, and impoverishing us, we pay like times 10 normal amount. No, open up factories, open up industries in Africa, and employ labor from Africa. Let our people let the act. Right. Let them let the act of any aid anymore in Africa. And God bless Africa. God bless this central. God bless the wonderful ladies that are there. I can see you. God bless you.
I see you too, sir. Thank you very much.
Of our people in the house. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Uche, and we're really grateful for your time to speak with us on this. With the passion with which you speak, we know that it's going to be a power-packed event, and for those that will miss it, I'm hoping not to, but definitely I'm sure that it's a movement that will be birthed on that day. Thank you for joining us. All right, this is Hot Topic Special Friday, and we have a guest joining us after the break, and you don't want to miss it. There's a conversation about masculinity and mental health, as well as carrying bad behavior outside of Nigeria. And let me ask, could you turn down 30 million naira? I know I can't, but wait for context anyways. We'll give you the details after the break, so stay with us.
You'll get to know why. Welcome back to the show. You're still watching Jasiri, and it's time for us to get into our hot topics. But we're not doing it alone today, as we've got a special guest joining us now. So without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Maje Ayida to Jasiri. Please roll the montage.
Wow.
What is it? Is a man? Yeah, I know. But it's
you have at this table. He's too tall, he's too short. Why? Do you like them shorter? Oh, he's too tall. What I know is that it's good to have Maje with us today. I must first warn you, we are a handful on this table, especially that one.
Yeah. I never saw my script, so you did point to me.
But he's only been here 2 minutes, and I think he's already seen it, Lolo.
But everybody has eyes. It can't be only me. Even the little one is trying to look away.
No, I did not say. I deliberately.
Oh, you didn't, but I see your body language, like trying to grope with your eyes.
Can we please ask welcome to Jasiri?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Wow.
Much appreciated.
Wow.
I've been warned about you.
Maje knows that women fall all over, so it's all right.
Oh.
So I think he just likes sticks falling on him, not victim.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God. Okay, so June is men's mental health month, and we've tried our best to highlight the mental health struggles that men experience, and I'm beginning to think that we should check in more intentionally with men this day. So I'm going to ask you this morning, how is your mental health this morning?
Thank you so much for asking. My mental health is good, strong, positive, focused, and clear, so I'm happy.
I love it.
Wow, I've never heard that.
Yes, I love it.
Okay.
Don't say a word, you.
Are we
I
ready?
am breathing. So let's get into what we are here.
So, Maje, there's gist to be had, but there's also, we can't have somebody like you and not have some personal conversations.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And it's been about 10 years since a very public situation happened with you and your former wife. Recently, a video went viral where you were sharing your testimony in church.
Sure.
And I think a lot more people would be interested in knowing what was behind that testimony, what happened. Because there's been different speculation online. Some are saying you're trying to play the victim.
Sure.
Others are saying you sounded hurt and that maybe you were still unhealed and were still carrying weight from that situation.
Fair.
What is it?
Well, interesting. Thanks for the question. That was a very interesting conversation I had. It was during a church service, of course. That was actually about 2 years ago when that happened.
And the video is just coming out now?
Yeah.
I guess so. So, I mean, I was asked about experiences that I've had dealing with depression and stuff like that, and I just spoke about a very difficult period in my life, which I was able to navigate, and was quite pleased I was able to do that and bounce back, and taught me a lot. I learned a lot from it, and so I spoke about that in church, and it was the the feedback was interesting, I have to say. You know, it seemed to polarize people a little bit. Like you said, some people thought I was there looking for sympathy, etc., whereas I was just talking about my experiences. But the real goal was to shine a light on men's mental health.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, that's what I do for a living. I'm a wellness practitioner. I provide services to organizations, mental health support, EAP services, and employee assistance programs, giving employees access to therapy. So I see a lot of things going on, and I see the struggles that men are going through. I'm a man, so I know those experiences as well. So the point was to highlight the culture around shaming men for being vulnerable, for what is perceived to be weakness if expressing emotions. And the idea of having a month dedicated to men's mental health is to try to change that narrative, to reverse it, you know, and say that it's okay, because too many of us are suffering in silence. Too many of us are trying to be strong while struggling, grappling. And funny, since that interview, or since that went out, I've been getting so many messages from men, you know, just wanting to unburden themselves and their situations and just speak to another man. So I think on the whole, it had a positive impact for men. Yeah. And hopefully, you know, we'll get more support as time goes, but I'm not going to stop talking about it. It's my work, and I truly believe in it.
Okay. So the thing is, me, I'm Gen Z, and I have a lot of questions about marriages and, you know, divorce and things like that, and I do not like to sugarcoat things. So you have shared your experience and, you know, what you went through mentally after your divorce, and the fact that you had to distance yourself at some point, withdraw from a society. So now looking back, right, at your marriage, and, you know, with the gift of hindsight, what do you think you probably would have done differently, if there's anything?
What would I have done differently? I mean, this is not something that I generally speak about, of course, especially publicly. But I think that as human beings, there's always room for improvement. And it's easy to look back in life and say, I should have done this differently, I could have done this better. So, of course, there are a number of things that I could have done better, but I think that the experiences that I had were by design. I think that things happened as they were supposed to happen in terms of the story of life and what that phase or stage was in my own life, you know. I was fortunate enough to take the time to really look at it and try to learn as much as I could about the experience, which I did, I think. I think I learned a lot from that. And, well, it's part of my history. So of course it is. What can I say? Without going too much into it, you know, it was part of that.
I like the way you're skirting around, you know, just
dancing around the topic, not really getting stuck in.
But everybody knows this place is hot. It's not about the abs, because I can see through this shirt. It talks wellness. It's part of, you cannot stifle me. Well, and don't give me depression. Don't give me depression because I'm trying to express myself when a fine man is in the building.
This is not about you. It's not your interest.
Well, you don't know what my mental state is.
Oh my God. I knew we were going to get there.
But Maje, it's just on the lighter side. I know that I'm divorced myself, so I know I can totally identify with feelings and things that can happen in that space. I know at that time that a memoir was written by your ex. Did you ever read it?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Can I hold your hand?
You don't need to.
Like, you don't need emotional support?
No, I don't need emotional support. So, this was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. But you know, sometimes books have a way of, they'll say it spans through time and lasts through time. It's like the perception is engraved in that book. So how do you feel about how you were portrayed in it?
That is a question that I'm definitely going to skirt around. Okay. I think the public had a lot of feelings about it. I'd expressed those feelings that time, all that while ago, many moons ago.
Are there any truth to some of them? Or it was just painted through the eyes of
He wants to
one
wear the
person.
skirt around.
Yes, I'm trying to make sure. I'm just trying to put elastic on the band
Which is his right.
to make it tighter.
No.
Wow, honey. So I just mean, you know, sometimes people, women, we can be very flowery and colorful in our description of events.
Sure.
Would you say there's some truth to it, or everything is just described through one person's vision?
Yeah.
I would say that it left people with a lot of opinions about things, and they're entitled to their opinions, and that's okay. I'm not going to disprove or prove anything, agree or disagree with anything. It was a fine piece of work.
But did you, let me butt in here. I mean, this is, no. I just want to ask, piggybacking
He said,
on
bring it
that.
on.
Piggybacking on that, when you read that, did you feel because you're human, did you feel the need, the drive to correct some impressions? Because
not now.
That's normal. That's normal. You know, I think with anyone, there's a natural instinct to want to defend yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's always good. So, but I think I did what was the right thing, which was.
How did that?
Don't say
Did
a
you
thing.
struggle with that? Like, just finding your base, staying in your base, and then keeping quiet.
Well, I had enough to focus on because the truth of the matter is that whole period forced me to have a hard look at myself, look within myself, and that was where my work was. That was where my focus was in restoring myself and not allowing this to be my identity. You know, because a lot of people have traumatic experiences and can wrap themselves up in that, and that can become who they are. Sometimes even ending up leading with that, you know, and that was not going to be my story. So that was work on its own, and that was enough.
And that was you working intentionally towards.
Very intentional.
No, hold it. Let the man breathe. Okay, we're going to give Maje a quick opportunity to take a breath. We promised you hot topics, and I'm sure that there are questions you have that we're probably asking here. But when we come back, we'll get a little deeper into Maje's mind, and then also get into one or two stories that caught our attention this week. This is Hot Topic Special on Jasiri. Stay with us.
This is Jasiri on a Hot Topic Special Friday. The conversations, the off-air conversations. Oh, wow. Well, our guest, Maje Ayida, might be feeling like he's in front of firing squad, but no. Maje, you made a statement that you felt you had brought shame to your family. How did you deal with that, the emotional aftermath of the divorce saga? And I know that we talked about healing, the process, the intentionality of it. Everything happened in that period. Everything happened at once. There was that. There was the public attention. There was the scrutiny. Yeah, how did that go for you?
Oh, yeah, there was a lot. I think it's an interesting question, actually, because, again, this being Men's Mental Health Month, you know, it's really about how do you get yourself out of dark spaces?
Yeah.
How do you pull yourself out of dark spaces, which a lot of men are in right now? And the truth of the matter is that the help just isn't there. So a lot of men are on their own. You've got to pull yourself out yourself. And how do you do that? And I took steps. As I mentioned in the clip, I did a lot of research. You know, I got very interested in the human condition, you know, and really feeling what I was experiencing. And so I got a deeper understanding of what happened, my role in it, what my accountability was, what I was accountable for, should I say. And then I started to focus on the journey out. And that was me getting myself anchored in routines, building habits like exercise.
Yeah.
Was a life saver for me, you know, because it really helps bring you into the present moment, and all the body's natural healing ways are activated when you are regularly active. And I think that rooting myself in routines was kind of set me up for successes. Because if you can achieve one small thing, you wake up in the morning, you get out of bed, you pray, you do your exercise, you've achieved something already. You know, there's that famous Marine speech where he talks about making your bed in the morning.
That's the first thing. That's the achievement of the day.
Sets you you up for successful things during the day. And it was basically, that was a foundation for me. And I found that during the process of routine exercises, the consistency, it started to impact my mind and how I felt.
Yeah.
My self-esteem started to build up again. My reliance on myself started to come back. And it's something that I would advise for everyone, because the body is an amazing place. And if you can leverage your body to access your mind and your mental health, you'll see a lot of positive changes in your life. And so I urge all men that are going through challenges to ask yourself certain questions. Are you sleeping enough? Are you eating well? Are you eating right? Are you exercising? Are you getting your steps in? How are you processing stress? How are you thinking about things? Ask yourself those questions before moving into extreme treatments. Because I think we're too heavily medicated. People take pills for everything. Do you know what I mean? And I think that especially if you're not doing enough as far as exercise and stuff, then you might not be doing yourself a good service, so a favor, if you're not exercising.
I want to pick up, because earlier you mentioned that when the clip came out, a clip that's about 2 years old, when it came out, you started getting a lot of men in your DMs who were sharing their own situations. And I think we've tried our best. We've had at least 3 conversations this month on Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, trying to shine the spotlight. And we weren't talking from it. We had a clinical psychologist in. We've had men having these conversations with us. And in having these conversations and some of the DMs you've been getting, what are the issues that men say they're going through that seem to be flying under the radar when it comes to society? Women are very free to be vocal and expressive. Men not so much so.
Well, I mean, culturally, there's societal pressures about being a man, being a provider. So usually you'll find that it's financial pressure at the top of the list. You know, and you know, you've got one job: provide or get out. That's the reality for us. You know, so financial pressure is one, but I think another really prevalent problem is marital difficulties as well. You know, those two are the top of the list. And then, of course, if you're not exercising, you're not taking care of yourself, you now can end up with medical problems as well, which also adds to financial pressure as well, which now adds to mental pressures. But, you know, men are really struggling, and 1 in 4, 1 in 3 Nigerians are having mental health challenges right now, everywhere. So it's not just men. I mean, fine, it's our month, but of course it's men and women. But more women get diagnosed than men. Because men, because of cultural reasons, are not going for help. They're actively not seeking help because it's seen as weakness, whatever it is. And this is the message that we need to keep pushing. It is not weakness to seek for help before it's too late, because men are unaliving themselves as well. This is the reality.
Okay, so I mean, I know I'm basing my questions on hindsight a lot, but they say hindsight's 2020, right? And this question is not just about what you would have done differently now, it's about what you would say to younger men, because you talked about pressure, especially financial
to young
pressure.
women.
Younger men.
Oh,
pressure, especially financial pressure, but there's also the pressure to settle down, you know, on the men, on the women as well. But a lot of men are, you know, going into marriages just because, you know, just because, you know, they said I should get married, just because that's the next thing on my list, just because now I have a job, just because I don't want to wash clothes. You know, a lot of people have different ideas about what marriage is. So what would you say to younger men about marriage who are ready to, you know, or who are, you know, in that radar?
And what would you say to your younger self too, who was on the cusp of that decision, on the cusp of entering this marriage?
I would say that you have plenty of time to enjoy your life and enjoy yourself. When you're younger, that is the time to really focus on building yourself, building who you are, your character, your purpose, understanding your strengths and weaknesses. You know, self-development, I think, should be what a young man should be doing, rather than focusing on what social media is telling you to focus on, which is having the lifestyle of a 50-year-old, you know, which is having the big house, having the cars, having all these things. There's plenty of time for that. Focus on who you are becoming. Learn about your character and developing that character, because self-development is a lifetime journey.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You can spend your whole life getting to know who you are because you're constantly evolving. So yeah, I would say, what are your priorities? And your priorities should be developing yourself, developing your fitness, your financial capacity. Think about the businesses you want to build, getting instilling yourself with discipline, which you can get from a 9-to-5 job, and really, really focusing on your soft skills, your hard skills, and enjoy yourself later. There's plenty of time for that. You have your
But did you
30s,
notice that every
50s.
time they talk about exercise, Maje looks at me?
I need to ask a serious one. Please ignore. I want to sort of follow up with what Blessing said, and I think one of the things is not just men that struggle, but women also setting boundaries when you're in a relationship.
Very important.
And when we talk about boundaries, I'm going to be specific here. Setting boundaries with either those who like you currently or those you've been involved with before. The situation that you found yourself in with your ex-wife, there were conversations around. There were a lot of conversations at that time around boundaries.
Sure.
For young men, because you're a man and this is still Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, what are the boundaries that need to be in place, especially when you're going into a marriage? But you got some exes, you got some skeletons in those closets, you got some exes that are not ready to let go of, and that thing can complicate any relationship.
Absolutely. I think having loose boundaries is going to be a problem for anyone. Unfortunately, the word boundaries I don't think even existed back then. It wasn't labeled the way things are now, from, narcissism, all the things all the things that are labeled now, the words weren't there. But yeah, the boundaries, definitely, I would say that setting strong, clear, healthy boundaries is very important, especially early on in relationships. And even outside of relationships, I think just within yourself, understanding of yourself, your self-awareness helps you to set clear boundaries for yourself. So you know when you are engaging people, when you meet new people, when somebody's in your life, you already have a relative clarity about your boundaries and establishing them early. Because boundaries is not just about you setting boundaries for yourself or other people to respect, but it's about you also respecting other people's boundaries as well. The more boundaries you're able to set, the more you can recognize boundaries in other people and not trample all over them. So yeah, now what the actual boundaries would be, I think it's all very circumstantial. It's subjective. It's down to the individual. Everyone is so different. So I think there's no one size fits all as far as boundaries go, but boundaries that, promote self-respect, respect for others, kindness, effective time management.
Stop being, wait, I want to say stop being late, and I realized I was always late.
Well, what are things that are important for men? Respect is a love language for a lot of men, and knowing and being aware of what makes you feel disrespected, what you consider to be disrespectful, and setting up boundaries around that very early on. Because since a lot of us men tend to suffer in silence, things can build up. You let things build up in you, you stay quiet about it till that frustration turns into resentment. And how do men manifest challenges? Usually it's through anger.
And violence.
That's the one emotion that men tend to express or allowed to express, And so before it gets to that point, I think just be an active observer of yourself.
Okay, quickly before the break, how are you? Okay. So I just gotta ask, what's the status of the relationship you have with the woman who got pregnant for you while you were married? How is that? And what is your current relationship with your ex-wife?
Okay. Those are both questions that I will not answer. However, I will say that, everybody's good. Everybody's good. Mutual respect all around, because life goes on. We move on, we evolve, and we realize that, life is also seasonal as well. That was a season in life. It's not my entire life. It's not everybody's entire life. So, everything is okay now. Mutual respect all around.
Okay, so before we go to the okay part, they say it's darkest before dawn. How was it before the OK? I'm happy that, because I keep saying, people who know me know this. I keep saying, if we are civil, and if we can be civil and polite, there's no need holding on to unnecessary resentment. Because listen, everything is lighter. Deal with your truth and let's move on. Once you've accepted and dealt with it, then that's what I'm asking. The process before the OK, how dark was it?
I think when people hold on to resentment, carry things, I think it's also a sign that perhaps the healing journey is not going as well as it could. And yeah, it was tough when, you know, things were happening because it was fresh, it was live, you know. So it was very...
And it was public.
It was public, you know, which made things even more complicated as well. So I'll just say that it was a difficult period, but like with any period, you can move past it. And I think that's if, again, you try to avoid doing certain things like what a lot of us tend to do when we have major traumas, betrayal, hurt and stuff, we tend to ruminate on things. It's something that a narrative that you sit in and you just keep playing it over and over in your mind, and it can end up moving from a temperament to an identity. So I think it's very important to, as part of good, strong mental health, to be able to sit in discomfort, deal and confront with difficult things, and also get the help. There was a great support system. I worked with amazing therapists at the time. You know, I was very focused on getting the help, professional help as well, and it really changed a lot.
Do you think Nigerians...
Catherine, we have to go on a break.
Two other topics. We'll go on a break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to Jasiri. Hiya, the conversation's good. All right, but now I think it's time to get into one hot topic other than Maje. So today we take a look at a case that reminds us why conversations around consent, culture and accountability matter no matter where we are in the world. So this Nigerian man, Emmanuel Onwubiko, has been sentenced to 2 years in prison by the Liverpool Crown Court for the sexual assault of an 18-year-old in Warrington, the United Kingdom. These assaults happened in 2024 when Onwubiko, then 35, began making unwanted advances toward the young woman, touching her inappropriately and asking disturbing sexual questions. When she expressed discomfort, this man reportedly dismissed her concerns, saying such behavior wouldn't even be reported back in Nigeria. The 18-year-old said, and I quote, "I felt so desperate to try and cleanse my body and feel as clean as possible. I was reaching out to God to try and get some help. And I thought bathing in holy water would wash away the horrible feelings I was having," end of quote. She documented the attacks in real time by texting a friend. She later ran to a family member's home and told the full story, which triggered the police investigation. Onwubiko has denied all the accusations, but he was convicted on all 5 counts of sexual assault.
Wow.
Yeah, he now faces 2 years behind bars, a 10-year restraining order, and he must be on the sex offenders register for a decade. Now, in a deeply emotional twist in this case, the court also heard about a related incident involving the victim's father. After learning what his daughter had endured, the father confronted Emmanuel Onwubiko and physically attacked him. In a moment of raw emotion and pain, he punched Onwubiko several times, leading to a nosebleed, 2 chipped teeth, and subdural hemorrhage, a serious brain injury that required emergency surgery. The father was later charged and sentenced to an 18-month suspended sentence. He was also ordered to complete 200 hours of unpaid work.
Okay. So, Maje, we'll come to you first. And I think what struck me and what stuck to me in this story is what he reportedly told the victim. And what he reportedly told the victim is that such behavior wouldn't even be reported in Nigeria. And we have these conversations, and we've seen these situations, unfortunately, over and over. And he's not the only one. This week as well, there was a Nigerian man who was arrested for kissing. He's a carer who kissed a patient. And that one too. And you're just thinking about the bad behavior we accept here that people are taking outside of the country. But people think that maybe that's how we are When you listen to this story, what comes to your mind?
That's horrible. That's a horrible situation. I mean, I can definitely understand the father's pain. That reaction sounds about right, especially if you feel a great sense of injustice, but I think that nothing calls for violence. Of course, I think he should have allowed it to be dealt with the way it should have been dealt with. But yes, I think you're very right about things in Nigeria. I think that one of our biggest issues is the lack of consequences for things, and people get away with so much.
Yeah.
And I say this about even the first world. I say, look, in the first world, it all seems very nice and civilized, but if you remove consequences, you will find them just
Acting
like crazy people, So we need more checks and balances. We need more consequences for things, rules that people feel there would be problems if they broke them.
Yeah. So my suspicion is if you were to trace this man to the neighborhood where he lived before he traveled, you will find someone. He has maybe a child or a woman or a young girl who he has likely molested or assaulted or tried to, because you don't just carry this behavior outside of Nigeria and start it there.
Because you feel you can get away with it.
Because you've been getting away with it.
In Nigeria. It's not getting reported. Because there's also shaming of victims, right, of women, of female victims here as well, which leave a lot of women staying silent. We don't want to rock the boat and so on, leading to a lot of men getting away with these things. So,
which emboldens them.
Which emboldens
Of course.
So,
a lot of Nigerians in diaspora, I think sometimes they have no knowledge of where they are. Because the laws here, we have them, but it doesn't hold them. So when they get into different planes, they just think it's business as usual. The guy that assaulted the guy that assaulted his child, I'm sure if he was Nigeria, there would be a clap offering for him, and they would not even.
No, I'm sure people were clapping for it. That's why he has a suspended sentence. He's not actually going to jail.
But what this highlights to me more is, again, the need for men, because we're such an important part of society, to have good mental health. Men with strong mental health do not do things like this.
So we're just talking about accountability, there's societal accountability, and in all the conversations we've been having with men recently on this thing, there's also the place of brotherhood. Now, if you put a story like this and remove the fact that they're in the UK and you put it online in Nigeria, there will be men in those comments. You've talked about the victim shaming. There'll be men in those comments asking, what did she wear? What was she doing? That he wouldn't have just done that. But there oftentimes seems to be a lack of public accountability. Or even men holding other men publicly accountable for certain things. And I can remember a number of situations where girls have come online to share stories of assault, even if they haven't even identified who the man was. There are men holding space for a man they do not know.
Yes.
Facts.
Even women.
100%.
Yeah, but even
men are not holding men accountable enough. We need to see, and especially when it's men in leadership, that can completely destroy your trust and belief system. So I think it's important that if men see their brothers, their faith leaders, people that they look up to, holding other men accountable, that is part of the education. We need to be going out into these communities, into these rural areas, and speaking to men, holding groups of men, bringing groups of men together and teaching better ways to exist to each other. Nobody else is going to do it, right? So we have to.
We're busy doing our own.
But women have that locked down in terms of, there's so many female events and women getting together now. How effective it is.
How hard it is to get men to sit together. I've seen a lot of men sit on this chair, and they say that we need to have these spaces for men to be able to unburden, to be able to be. Young boys need mentorship. So what can we physically do beyond an ideal in our heads? Women go to conferences all the time. But how many, and take notes and work on ourselves. What can men really put on the table for us that even we can sink our boys to? We have someone from Boys Headquarters or something. He does maybe mentorship for boys. We need more spaces like that. Or is it just going to be an ideal in the head?
And please, can I tack on, because they're in our ear. Are you concerned about the potential of, it came up yesterday, that we're asking men to be so much in their feelings that are women ready to receive these men who are in their feelings?
That's a whole new conversation.
Are women ready to receive the men in their feelings, and some are worried that we're asking men to become too feminine
Yeah.
in this. I don't know if you can do all three.
I think the world is moving in a very dangerous direction. I think we're moving more towards emotional fragility and not the resilience that is required to get through life. And I think everyday challenges are now getting labeled as mental health challenges. You know, people are hiding behind that and not building the resilience that they should and are supposed to. Now, I think men, yes, we need to be able to process and understand our own feelings better and what we do about them. Emotions are real and they're, you know, we all have them. But what we do about them is where the effort is. You know, so we should be more in touch with our feelings. But I think that we still do need to display the strength, the stoicism, the leadership, you know, the focus that comes with being a man. I don't think there's any such thing as toxic masculinity. I think there is just masculinity, but healthy masculinity. That's what needs to be driven and taught to men. So women, what happens, I think, when women, maybe you can tell me, what happens when you see a man being vulnerable?
Please don't start.
What happens to you guys?
That's a conversation.
We're taking this conversation
Maje
behind the scenes.
What is
We're taking this conversation behind the scenes. No, has a whole. Maje, we have to say thank you. Thank you so much. But I think, as you said, you've touched on something that we look forward to possibly having you back to expand on as well.
Sure.
But thank you so much for joining us today. This week has been a lot, but we hope we've approached it with heart, courage, authenticity, and bold voices. From centering men's voices for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month to holding space for the victims and survivors of the Benue massacre. This is where you get it all, and we'll be bringing it back to you starting all over again on Monday at 10 a.m. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, a safe one, and I hope we've earned the privilege of your time. We'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.
Bye.